What's up, spectators? Welcome back to another episode of Ace Attorney Investigations 2. Last time we were having it out with Von Karma, where we unearthed a relationship between Dover and Gustavia. They were both working together even up to the finals, because one person could make good food but had poor design, and the other person had great design and simply didn't know how to bake desserts. Okay. Just what are you mumbling about? Please excuse me. I finally realized. Your earlier view was correct. Huh? Mr. Edgeworth! What are you doing? Oh, so you're finally admitting defeat. No. All I am admitting to is the truth of one of your statements. Dover and Gustavia's collaboration lasted only until the day before the finals. It is exactly as you said. They only cooperated until the day before the finals. The sculptures in Mr. Dover's room were all made out of sherbet. Such an amount would most likely need to be left overnight to freeze. Which means Mr. Gustavia prepared Mr. Dover's sherbet in advance the day before. That's right, so you realize Gustavia's cooperation ended the day before the finals. Then, why did Mr. Dover not help Mr. Gustavia in return? The views of the dead are of no concern to me. If you aren't going to answer that, I'll need to get in touch with Mr. Gustavia himself. Or was your interrogation not quite as thorough as you claim? You ingrate! How you dare mock me? That was not my intention, but I do have a problem with your attitude. I want you to give us a clear reason why we can't speak to Mr. Gustavia in person. A clear reason. Gustavia and Dover's collaboration has no bearing on this case. Objection. You claim their collaboration is relevant. If Mr. Gustavia and Mr. Dover's relationship had turned sour, I see what he's trying to say. If Mr. Dover didn't help Gustavia in return, Gustavia has motive to kill Dover. It can there we go. You're saying that Gustavia and Dover's collaboration was linked to the motive for the murder. If that were the case, why did he not conceal it? After all, we found out about this collaboration from Gustavia himself. If you really are a lawyer, show us evidence that gives us reason to suspect Gustavia. Only one of Mr. Gustavia's actions has been suspicious so far. Doubtless Von Karma already knows of this fact. This could be a trap by Von Karma. What's wrong, defense attorney? Not going to answer? But I mustn't back down now. Mr. Gustavia snuck into Mr. Dover's room. His reasons for this are currently unclear. But the very fact he secretly entered the victim's room is reason enough to suspect him. If that's the extent of it, I can dispel those doubts. I knew it. Was it a trap after all? I was intending to save this for the courtroom, but I'll make a special exception. We wouldn't want to prolong the trial with unnecessary information, would we? Take a look at this. This is a photo of Gustavia and Dover and their sons. Gustavia entered Dover's room in order to steal this photo. To steal the photo? It seems their sons attended the same elementary school. Apparently, he thought that he'd be suspected if people found out he and Dover were acquainted. Yes, just like you're doing now. There's nothing suspicious about Gustavia's actions. No further room for argument. Some guy in comments said I shouldn't do stuff like that, make those noises. He's out of his goddamn mind. Ow! All day long. Anyways, that aside, he's still adamant on not letting us meet with Mr. Gustavia. I have an investigation to return to. I have no more time to waste on the likes of you. Curse that Von Karma, calling us a waste of time. What should we do, Mr. Edgeworth? At this rate, Master Jeff will be... Von Karma's busy? Of course. Why would he be so busy? Both the body and murder weapon have been found, and he already has a suspect. The police should have more than enough evidence to prove Mr. Masters' guilt. If that's the case, then why is Von Karma still investigating the crime scene? Mr. Edgeworth? Is there something wrong? It seems I've been overlooking a matter of vital importance. Considering that he already has the evidence he needs to convict Mr. Master, I feel that Von Karma isn't as composed as he should be. He didn't even tell Detective Bad the full results of the investigation. Yeah, Von Karma's a bit on edge at the moment. He still hasn't received the autopsy report. A day after the incident, the autopsy report still has not arrived? Ba-dum-ba. Furthermore, something vanished from the crime scene, and we still don't know why. Detective Bad, please look at the crime scene carefully once more. The bloodstain that should have remained at the crime scene has disappeared. I definitely didn't get any reports about the bloodstain being cleaned up. But the strangest thing we found wasn't in Mr. Master's room at all. It's a match. The blood in the fountain is Dover's. Mr. Dover's blood vanished from Mr. Masters' room and somehow found its way into the fountain. What does this mean? Bum bum bam ba bum bum bam ba da ba dum ba dum. Hoo yeah! Although the victim's blood wasn't found in Mr. Masters' room, it was detected in the water fountain. There'd be no need for the killer to conceal the bloodstains after the body was found. It's unnatural that only the bloodstains that were found with the body disappeared. Unless the body was moved. The blood would have still remained on the chocolate. Don't tell me someone removed the body and erased the bloodstains. No autopsy, and the body was removed. It's possible that the body was removed from the crime scene, and the autopsy report still has not arrived. Although we have a murder weapon and a suspect, we don't know much about the body. I've been investigating under the assumption that the body had been discovered. Perhaps this assumption was wrong in the very beginning. Why didn't Von Karma give Detective Bad the autopsy report? To understand that, yes, I must turn my logic around. My thinking shouldn't be, why is Von Karma hiding information about the body? But rather, what if Von Karma doesn't even have the information to begin with? What happens if I think of it like that? It's possible that the body wasn't removed by the police for autopsy. It was moved and hidden by the real killer. Mr. Edgeworth! I've heard many dark rumors surrounding Von Karma. He's a prosecutor who forges evidence, fabricates testimonies, and makes backroom deals. Yeah, I've heard that too, but what does that have to do with this? I try to avoid judging others based on rumors, and I didn't let those rumors influence my opinion on Von Karma until today. It seems he is a man who would distort the truth. Distort the truth? You don't mean forgery? I do. And I can't allow him to get away with this. I must return to the prosecutor's office for now. Not a word to that attorney. Roger. What do you want, defense attorney? I want to know the truth that you've been hiding. fool! Are you trying to mislead the police's investigation again? If you interfere with the investigation anymore, I'll be forced to reprimand you myself.
Objection!
Police? No! My objection is with you! What? Isn't it a prosecutor's job to ensure justice for criminals? What are you saying? I have no time to debate the job of a prosecutor with you. But I will tell you one thing. My job is to ensure all those I prosecute are found guilty. Before the perfect proof, there can be no room for doubt.
Objection!
And to find that perfect proof, you would even stoop to forgery? Ha! I was wondering what you were going on about. You intend to accuse me of forgery, don't you? Yes. And it's for that reason. You did not allow Detective Bad to investigate. What do you mean? The real reason Detective Bad wasn't investigating was not so he can keep an eye on us. It was to hide the fact you never found the body. Whoa. They never found the body?
Objection!
You cretins! You will cease with these ludicrous accusations! I will not tolerate any further insults. In that case, let us verify the body. If you do, we will have evidence that shows whether I'm right or not. The burden of proof falls on you, defense attorney. I have no reason to comply with your baseless conjecture.
Objection!
You must have noticed it too, the lack of bloodstains at the crime scene. So why did the blood vanish? And more importantly, where did it go? Foolishness! Why would anyone erase just the blood in the chest that contained the body? Yes, that's exactly right. If the body had been found there, the disappearing bloodstains would have no meaning at all. But what if the body was already gone? To erase the traces of the body being there, one would have to get rid of the bloodstains as well. Why make such a fuss over those bloodstains? It seems like a trivial detail to me. Or are you saying that you can show me where those bloodstains went? In court, everything must be said with evidence. Isn't that right, Von Karma? In that case, I'll show you the evidence supporting my claim. Which piece of evidence shows where the blood in the Mr. Master's room went? The fountain! It's in the fountain! But what is the evidence? Which place shows where the blood in the Mr. It doesn't... Where is it exactly? Is it... No, that's not it. Maybe it's not... Maybe it's this. Maybe it's the victim's blood. Yeah, found in the fountain. That's it.
Take that!
Ooh, my cool collar. There were traces of the victim's blood found in the fountain. Traces of Mr. Masters' chocolate were also found in this very fountain. In other words, the blood was washed down the stream, which then flowed into the fountain. All of this points to only one possibility. After the body was removed, someone erased the bloodstains. Go! Von Karma, where was the body really found? If you really found the body, you should be able to answer. You! How do you know this information? How do you know the results of the water composition test on the fountain? Because I allowed them to investigate. Bad! Always a thorn in my side. From here on out, I will not allow you to associate any further with this case. It's not like you were letting me do much anyway. Von Karma, you still haven't answered my question. Or are you admitting to the fact that you didn't find the body after all? You say I never found the body. Where is your evidence? He's never gonna confess. I have nothing further to say to you. Gregory Edgeworth, this matter will be decided in court. We'll see just how well your logic holds up there. Von Karma, I know your methods are wrong. I promise without fail, I will expose the truth you've hidden. Well, we're not actually going to court, are we? Detective Bad, I'm sorry. It's because you let me investigate that. No, this was bound to happen, sooner or later. This is also the first time I've been restricted in my investigation. Your theory that they never found the body sounds pretty close to the mark. That I will make clear in court. If there's anything I can do to help, let me know. Even though I'm no longer in charge of this case. Then, though I'm very sorry about this, I have one more favor to ask of you. Hey, what are you guys whispering about? I want to know too. This will be my trump card in court. The information I've gathered up until now should be enough to prove Mr. Masters' innocence. But, if all else fails, I'll have this ready. Your trump card? Heh, you'll see at the trial. Wow, I get to be at the trial too? Of course, you're my assistant after all. Heh, I'll be an ace attorney too next year. Von Karma will never beat the two of us. Right. Although I hope to clear Mr. Masters' name before you become a lawyer. If Von Karma is to be my opponent, he'll want the trial ended in a day. That's right. We have to save Master Jeff as soon as we can. Oh, that's fast. After all, this is you we're talking about. I'm sure you'll beat Von Karma. Except he doesn't. Jeff Master, alone in a dark cell, arrested on false charges. I must expose Von Karma's lies if I'm to save him. Oh, we're going back to present, probably. And I highly doubt we'll go into another courtroom, even though we did technically have a courtroom bit in the first game at the end. Bam, bam. And that's all Uncle Ray knows about the IS-7 incident. So that's what happened in my father's last case. The truth of the IS-7 incident. What happened at the trial? In the end, Von Karma defeated us. Eh? So you couldn't prove Mr. Masters' innocence? We'd gathered plenty of evidence to prove it. But Von Karma was even more despicable than we thought. He was a prosecutor who would do anything for his guilty verdict. That's right, and he really did use any means necessary. Because of this, the trial dragged on for about a year, until it finally reached a conclusion. I'll never forget that fateful day, when the judgment was passed down, the 28th of December. It's April now, so it's been a little over 17 years. How time flies. The 20th of December, 17 years ago. I was watching from the gallery that day. Before the trial, your old man noticed that Mr. Master was acting strangely. He was at the breaking point, both mentally and physically. He wanted to be found guilty. No, Mr. Master didn't fake a confession, did he? Yeah, that was what Von Karma was aiming for from the start. When your old man tried to expose the fact that the body had not been found, Von Karma used the power of his police cronies to quash that argument. He even went as far as to prepare a fake autopsy report. Then, they made Mr. Master give a false testimony and confess to being an accomplice. With Mr. Master's confession, the situation quickly became dire. But your old man had a trump card up his sleeve. Was that the trump card he was talking to Detective Bad about? Yeah, that trump card was to be our insurance in case Mr. Master confessed. He'd asked Detective Bad to have Mr. Master's interrogation recorded. Bad wanted to know the truth too, huh? After he was dropped from the investigation, he never stopped caring about the case. even when he was involved with other large cases. He really was the definition of a true detective. The defense presented the recording, which proved that the confession was forced. Well, it seems the detective in charge of the initial investigation and interrogation, Rip Lacer, took all of the blame and was charged and dismissed. Still, at the trial, your old man exposed Von Karma's corruption, and Von Karma received his first penalty from then Chief Prosecutor. The only penalty in his 40 years of prosecution. This is a really good song, too. But Mr. Master didn't want the trial to continue any longer. And the curtains closed on the trial that day with the verdict of guilty. My memory of that time's fuzzy, but I was also there watching my father's final trial. And I think his final regret became my own. Your old man wanted a retrial to prove Masters' innocence, but he passed on before he could fulfill his wish. After getting entangled in another case, it breaks my heart even now that I didn't return home with him that day. And what's more, to blind myself from my own worthlessness. Uncle Ray put all of his hatred on you as a traitor for being Von Karma's pupil. I'm sorry. Don't be. It's natural you'd hate me. After I became a prosecutor, I was able to get Von Karma to show me the case file. Mr. Master was found guilty for the murder of Isaac Dover. That's not right. Wasn't Mr. Master found guilty of being an accomplice? But this case file says guilty of murder. There shouldn't be anything unresolved in the cases handled by Manfred Von Karma. Wait, can I take a look at that file? It looks like the charges have been rewritten. Whoa. Look at this. Jeffrey Master 39, creator of the dessert contest. The charge is accomplice to murder. This is a copy of the original case file I received from the courts. Why would the charge be altered? This file was given to you by Von Karma, right? Maybe he just didn't want you to know the truth since you're Gregory's son. He would have wanted to avoid another retrial before the statute of limitations ran out after all. So what I had come to believe back then had all been a lie. If you didn't know about it, just make sure you know it from now on. A statute of limitations has long expired, but the truth still sleeps, right here. After your old man passed away, Uncle Ray took over as Mr. Masters' defense attorney. Although Von Karma also had another prosecutor take over the case. Perhaps he thought that since his opponent was a rookie, he didn't even need to turn up. In the end, the real killer was never found, and Mr. Master was found guilty. No! Is there nothing we can do even now? Since the killer was never found, he can't withdraw his confession. I found out after the trial that Mr. Master made a deal with Von Karma because Von Karma had threatened him. If you don't confess, Catherine Hall will be held under the same charges. That's terrible! I don't think Mr. Master really thought that Kate was the killer, but to protect her, he faked a confession. Miles, on the day that Knightley boy was killed, why do you think Uncle Ray was at the prison? I see. You went to see Mr. Master, didn't you? I said I'd visit him every day. I couldn't keep that promise, but I asked Katie Pie to look in on him for me when I couldn't. Through rain or snow she went, every single day without fail. But nothing has changed, and Mr. Master still serves his punishment. That's so sad! Isn't there anything we can do? That's why I came here. People's Court! because I knew those ice sculptures would be on display here today. So, what are you gonna do, Miles? I am a prosecutor. My position is different from you and my father, Miles. But moving past my position, what I want as Miles Edgeworth is to know the truth of these two cases. It is for that reason that I am here. You really are your father's son. Well then, if that's what you've decided, I'll support you all the way. I better leave the IS-7 documents and evidence with you then. And with that, why don't we end this video here? It's been pretty long, and next time, I guess we'll be taking over with present time. I can't imagine just going back. I mean, we've already done everything, so I feel like we're getting close to the end of this case. Until next time, bye-bye!